Hello, my true crime podcast listeners. Today we are honoring Darlene Zetterower and Barbara Schreiber, whose lives were taken by two monsters who unfortunately are not alive to pay for this heinous crime. In the early 1974, going into 1975, there was already a wave of crimes and illegal gambling happening in Miami-Dade and Broward County. But what never would have crossed your mind is that the lives of two 14-year-old girls would end so drastically and brutally. Darlene and Barbara were just about to start enjoying their summer before starting high school as freshmen. The girls were in a Hollywood neighborhood when it appeared they decided to hitchhike to get to a friend's house and celebrate after getting their 8th grade report cards. A white van was seen passing by slowly, stopped when they noticed the two girls, and the girls hopped in. Here is when their lives completely change. Darlene and Barbara were brutally sexually assaulted and shot before being ditched in the Everglades by two unknown men. Their bodies were found the following day on June 19th by a family member who was fishing near the area. Considering the times and lack of technology advancements, there was no evidence that could identify these men that committed this atrocity. Despite all the law enforcement efforts in trying to solve the murder, the case went cold. Nearly almost 50 years later, thanks to new DNA technology, conservancy of clothing, personal belongings, and a key witness that saw them both getting inside the van, the cold case unit was able to get a break on DNA, finding a full DNA profile of the suspect. The key witness was a friend of Darlene and Barbara, Gail Cavaco. She shared that she saw them near a bench where soon after they hopped into a white van. The girls had asked Gail if she wanted to come with them as they were headed to a friend's house, but Gail's father was very strict and did not give her permission, not knowing that he had just saved his daughter's life. First DNA found was under Robert Clark Keebler, whose DNA was identified on a piece of clothing, and later on, a partial DNA was found to also be a match to Lawrence Stein. The cold case detective also mentioned that during the time of the investigation, he was able to confirm that the murderer, Keebler, owned a white van, similar to the one where the girls were seen getting on. Keebler and Stein were both in their early 20s when the crimes committed. Keebler and Stein were both in their early 20s when the crimes occurred, and were also known to have been involved in other crimes including burglary, violent sexual assaults, and child abduction in Florida, Arizona, and California. Robert Keebler died in 2019 and Lawrence Stein in 2005. Prosecution charged them both as if they were alive, and the cold case has officially received closure. Although years had passed with many questions unanswered, the victims' families were relieved to know who was the monster that committed this crime. Barbara's sister was present at a press conference held by the cold case unit and expressed her sincerest gratitude to the department for not giving up on finding out who did this to her sister. She also mentioned that Barbara was such a kind, smart, and loving person who could have been whatever she wanted to, should she had been alive. She also mentioned how she remembers those good times, her sister's laughter, and how she would carry her and put her on top of the car to then dance with her best friend Darlene. As the detective got ready to close the case, he paid Barbara's sister a final visit to hand her a necklace and a ring her sister was wearing the day of the murder. Records show that Darlene's immediate family is either now deceased or is no longer living in the local area, but we're happy to hear that the case is solved. Today we honor Darlene and Barbara, two beautiful, loving young souls who were looking forward to starting a new chapter as they enter high school. But two ruthless, cold-blooded monsters took that away from her and their families. Thank you to my listeners. Thank you for your time. Please stay tuned for more true crime stories and make sure you subscribe to my channel. See you next time.